Hello everyone, welcome back to the Will the Reaper channel. In today's video, I'm going to be doing something different from the usual FNAF tier list. I'm going to be doing a Plants vs. Zombies tier list, specifically ranking all the plants. I haven't played this game in years, and it was one of my favorites when I was like 10 years old. And yeah, I remember what each and every one of these guys do. I love them all so much. But right next to me on my phone, I have a list of how much each one of these plants costs. Because, for some of them, I just can't remember off the top of my head. But let's get right down to it. So the first one we have is Cherry Bomb. I believe costs 150. Yep. Insta-kills everything in a 3x3 tile radius. Very good plant. It's not too costly for what it does. The only problem is its recharge time. It's really basically a 1 or 2 hit wonder for every level because it just takes so long for it to recharge. But it can be very good in some circumstances. Up next is Potato Mine. Off the top of my head, obviously, it's one of the cheapest plants in the game. 25 sun. An insta-kill. I believe it can also two-shot Gargantuar. And it does area damage if you can get lucky and have zombies be close enough to it. The only reason why it's not S tier is because, much like Cherry Bomb, it has a very long recharge time. And it also requires a bit of time for the mine to actually activate and come out of the ground. So for those reasons, it's not S tier, but still a very good plant. Walnut is going to get a B tier. It can be very good, but I believe if you have a good offense, you don't really need the walnut. And if I'm having fun, I almost never use defense. I'd rather just go guns blazing offense. But it really depends on your preference. I just think walnut's kind of a boring plant. Sunflower gets an A tier. For 50 sun, you generate 25 sun. 7 seconds later, you generate 25 sun. Or I don't know if it's 7 seconds, but every few periods you get 25 sun. And that is extremely good. I have a philosophy where as long as I have as long as I have 2 rows of sunflowers, I win the game. Because that sun generation is just unbeatable. It is so good. I'd argue it's S tier. The only thing that's preventing me from making it S tier is that it does take a bit of time to get those 2 rows of sunflower. And it's also a required plant, right? You have to have sunflower to win the game. So it kind of like forces you, it makes you go against your will to put down sunflower. So for that reason, it gets an A tier. Cacti, I think 125. Yeah, 125. It's going to get a B tier. It's not too bad of a plant. It kind of does Clover's job, except it's you permanently can have it on the lawn as long as it doesn't get eaten. It does a good amount of damage, and yeah, you can place it anywhere you want. The recharge time is a little bit lengthy though, so it does get a B tier. Cattails, I'd argue, it's my favorite plant in the game. I'd argue it's an S tier, but it's only getting an A tier for 2 reasons. Firstly, it costs 225 sun. Also, for those of you that don't know what this does, you put it on an ocean. Sorry, you put it on in the pool, and it shoots anywhere. It also pops balloons, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, you put it down like all the way in the back. It's going to be shooting, all the way, first row, first tile. It can extend wherever you want it. But 225 sun is a little bit costly. But the real problem is that you can only place it down in the pool area. So you can only have so many. But, much like Sunflower, I believe if you have 2 entire rows, sorry for the voice crack, of cattails, you win the game. But again, it does take a while for that to happen, and you can only do it on pools. Doom Shroom, I believe that's what it's called. 125 sun, yep. S tier. Now the only downside is that it has an extremely long recharge time. And it's really only effective on night levels. But if you can have this guy put down, and you have like 20 zombies, let's say, on your lawn, put that down, insta kill. Much more effective and actually cheaper than the Cherry Bomb. I don't see why you would never use this. Why anyone would ever not use this. on any night level. It's essential for any night level, I guess. Explodo Walnut. It's only used in Walnut Bowling, which I mean, does anyone ever use? So it gets an F tier because you just actually it gets a D tier because it's pretty cool. But again, it's not like you use it in actual Plants vs Zombies, so whatever. Um, Next you have the pot. Uh, you know, Obviously you need it to put plants down. I believe it's 25 sun. Yeah. Um, the fact that you can use it to have plants down is very good, but I'd argue it's just like very annoying. I find the roof levels to be very annoying, but I obviously can't be biased towards the pot because without the pot, you lose the game. Um, so it's basically 25 sun to actually play the game. Basically, 25 sun every time. It can be very annoying, but again, you need it. So because you need it, it's a C tier. Fume Shroom. 75 Sun, A tier. It can go through several zombies. I believe it only takes like 5 to 7 shots to kill zombies, so it's very good. It can go through the guy. This is the most important reason. It can go through the zombie that has that little like door thing, the gate. So it's just very good in that scenario. And yeah, for only 75 sun, you can put it all the way in the back, and that damage will stack up. If you have a couple of fume shrooms one behind the other, that will be an entire lane clear if you can do that. So it's an A tier. Garlic gets an F tier. How much is it? 50 sun. I don't think I've ever used it once in my life. There's no point in using it. It really, there's no point. Maybe unless like you have like a bunch of fume shrooms behind each other and you're trying to get like all the zombies in one lane. I just don't see the point in using the garlic. Replace it with like spike, whatever it's called, spike weed or something like that. So yeah, F tier. Gatling Pea. Here's the first ever upgrader plant. Um, I'll give it like a C tier. 250 sun, right? The only benefit of the Gatling Pea, there are two benefits. If you have a Torchwood put in your lane that you have been using, and then you upgrade a repeater uh, for a Gatling Pea, it will be very effective. But again, you need a Torchwood for it to be very effective, and it costs 250 sun. I'd say the really only good benefit is that instead of putting down another entire repeater, using up that space, you could condense that space. But yeah, Gatling Pea gets a C tier. Goldilocks over here is gonna get an F tier. I mean, it can give you coins, which is nice, but no real purpose. Okay, so I don't know why there's a sunflower. You know what? Let me add a row below saying duplicate, because when I got this is not my tier list. None of the tier lists I do are actually mine. I find them online. So credit to Mr. Name Game. So this one does have quite a few duplicates. So there we go. Including another walnut. Wow. Okay. Okay. Gloom Shroom costs 150, and this gets an S tier. Now you're thinking to yourself, well, it costs another 150. So is it good? Yes, because it's the fume shroom, except you could shoot it in, I think, 8 different directions, which is absolutely nuts. If you can put down a couple of fume shrooms and have a couple of gloom shrooms, it's over. It's over for every night level. It is so insanely OP. The only problem is that, again, it costs 150 sun. You have to wait for the recharge time. But if you can put down the Gloom Shroom, oh, God, Chef's Kiss, it's so good. Definitely worth the sun for it. Magnet. Okay, hear me out. It's going to get a D tier because removing buckets is more effective than garlic and Goldilocks. But there's just no point in doing it. Also, the only benefit is that the upgraded version, which costs 50 sun, you don't have to use a coffee bean for. So if you put that down on the magnet shroom during the daytime, it automatically energizes itself, which is pretty cool, but D tier. The Grave Digger. How much is that? I believe 75 sun to remove unnecessary graves. You prevent zombies from spawning, and you free up another space. A tier. You also get coins from it, sometimes diamonds. A tier. Hypno Shroom. 75. This is like my second favorite plant in the game. For what it's worth, though, it's only getting a B tier. It's such a cool effect. It's really only effective if you have like the guy with the door, a football player, or my favorite, if you can get a disco zombie to get infected, that will be very cool. But overall, for 75 sun, you could use it on other things, so that gets a B tier. Ice Shroom, 75 sun. Much like the Doom Shroom, it affects the entire board. Freezes all zombies for quite a long time, which is very good. Again, much like Doom Shroom, once and it's gone. But it has a faster recharge time than Doom Shroom, and it can save you. You know, it can really come in clutch at times, and it's half the cost of a cherry bomb. So A tier. Intimidator. Intimidator gets an A tier because you can use it to duplicate any plant that you want. You can't have multiple duplicates at the same time, like multiple plant types. Whether or not you can have multiple of the same duplicate, I'm not sure. But for how much is it? Wait, give me 1 second. It's not showing up in here. Actually, no, it wouldn't have a sun cost. The sun cost would be however much. The sun cost would be however much it costs to cast the plant. So yeah, so its sun cost varies, I guess. And yeah, you could have it for another Doom Shroom if you really need it, or another Cherry Bomb or something like that. It can come in very clutch. A tier. Jalapeno. I believe 125 sun. B tier. For only 125 sun, destroy everything in the entire lane. It comes in really clutch when you have the snowmobiles and really heavy units like Gargantuars. But other than that, if you're only destroying one lane and you're spending 125 sun, I feel like you could do better things with that. But still though, for what it's worth, the value is great. B tier. Colonel Polt gets an A tier. I think it's 100 sun. Yeah, much better version of the lettuce pulp. If you can get the butter and you can stop zombies from coming in, does its job very well. Actually, I'm gonna move it down to a B tier. Because I just think the pults in general, besides the melon pult, they're all right. Lily pad 25 sun. D tier. I'd rather use the cattails, I think they're called. Yeah, I'd rather use cattails or other aquatic plants than to use it for lily pad. The only reason why lily pad's good is because you can get a few extra sunflowers on the lawn, but other than that, I almost never really use regular plants because I'd rather use the like the zero cost um, shooter. I forgot what it's called. The zero cost shooter and cattails. So D tier. Magnet Shroom, C tier. Yeah, it does its job. It does it well. For only, oh wow, okay, never mind. 100 sun is crazy. Its upgrade is 50. Okay, never mind. I'm switching these then. Yeah. 100 sun actually to remove a bucket or a helmet off a zombie. Or maybe a metal grate. Very cool, but uh, I'd rather use that 100 sun on like an insta kill like Hypno Shroom or something else. Very useless plant. D tier. Melon Pole 300 sun. Yeah, does a ton of damage though. It's really the definition of bang for your buck. I'd argue B tier. because it's one of the most expensive plants in the game. But if you can get a bunch of them, you win the level. Lantern Shroom. I believe that's 75, 25 sun. Okay. Grants you vision. It's an essential. You need it. A tier. No other way to put it. You have to see what's coming at you. And it's only 25 sun. The zero cost P, S tier. Phases out after time. Actually, does it fade out after time? I know it does in Plants vs. Zombies too. I think it does phase out. Regardless, zero cost, and you can have like 12 of them on at the same time if you really want to. Unbelievably cost efficient. It's so good. S tier. No contemplating about it. Pumpkin. 125. I'd say it's like a worse version than the walnut or tall nut. Yeah, D tier. Repeater. C tier. 200 sun, you could do twice as much damage. Actually, B tier. Because if you can get a few of them, it's pretty nice, especially with Torchwood. Let's see. This guy just a backwards repeater? Okay, I guess it's just a duplicate. There's nothing in the Wiki Almanac where this thing exists. So I'll just count it as duplicate. Okay. Now here we go. I've seen a video where a guy says this is the worst plant in the game. I'd argue this is one of the best in the game. For 25 sun, right? 25 sun, right? You can have an army of scaredy shrooms. The only problem is they have a pretty low attack rate and they hide away. They're useless when zombies come nearby. But if you can have like 2 or 3 rows of them and then just have like walnuts or literally just anything in the front, oh my god, it's so effective. I want to argue S tier for this one. This is probably going to be the hottest take of the video, but I just think scaredy shrooms are so good. If you can get enough sun to have several of them. And their recharge time is like that. Incredible. I think it's called a water shroom. I'm not too sure. Zero. A tier, because you're obviously going to have a lot more land zombies and water zombies, but again, it's a cost efficiency that's there. A tier. Snow pea. How much is it? 175. So it costs 75 more than a regular pea shooter, except it slows a zombie down. That's a D tier. Spiky plant. I believe it can withstand 3 hits of a gargantuar, and I think it can also pop 3 snowmobiles. It costs 125 to upgrade, so it grants 2 extra lives on a regular spikeweed. It can come in handy, but you're rarely going to use a spikeweed in general. But again, 125, so you can pop 3 snowmobiles is still very cool. But, I rarely use it. C tier. Spikeweed itself, 100. Effects are, everlasting. Any zombie that walks on it's going to take damage. Still very good. I'd argue for sun efficiency, I'd rather use just a spikeweed and put it anywhere to instantly pop something than use a upgraded spikeweed, because I never use spikeweeds anyway. Yeah. Okay, so now you have the twin head with the repeater on the back and a regular P on the front. It costs 125. It literally costs 25 more sun to have an extra 2 damage going behind someone. If you have a pogo stick zombie, or more importantly, if you have the bungee zombie, this thing will come in handy. Or if a gargantuar threw an imp, also handy. A tier. I don't know what this thing does. Yeah, literally I don't know what that is. Squash for 50 sun. If you can group up a bunch of zombies with a walnut, it will insta-kill all of them. Has a decent recharge rating, but a bit more useless in future levels. I'll still give it a B tier, though. Still great. Still a very good plant. The Star, 125 Sun, gets an A tier. For what it's worth, for only 25 more Sun than a regular pea shooter, if you have like a row of them or 2 rows of them, the damage just stacks. The amount of times these stars intertwine and just constantly build damage is insane. It's a really fun way of dealing damage as well. Just seeing like all the stars shoot across the screen. Oh, phenomenal plan at A tier. Okay, now we have the Sun Shroom. It's essential for the night levels. But it's cool because they give you a lot more sun when they become giant. It's just at the very beginning of the levels, they give you such little sun. And you might end up hurting yourself if you kind of just waste your sun on a sun shroom immediately. If there's like the first wave of zombies and stuff like that. But again, it's still pretty nice though that they grow over time. But again, it's just like how much time do you have before zombies reach your house? Ooh, let me plug my laptop in real quick. Okay, perfect. Sorry about that. Tall Nut, 125 Sun. I believe it has double the health of a walnut, and it can break stuff like pogos, ladder zombies, etc. Actually, do ladder zombies? Can ladder zombies go over tall nuts? Anyway, it's kind of like a walnut. I guess better though. Actually, no. I want to say it's a bit worse because I'd rather just have 2 walnuts than a single tall nut. But it's still a B tier nonetheless. Okay, Kelp, 25 Sun insta kill. Excuse me. That gets an A tier. Actually, yeah, it gets an A tier. The only thing preventing it from being an S tier is that you have to put it down in a pool. Simple enough. Insta kill. Great. 3-Peter. 325. Not worth it at all. It's just not worth it at all. Torchwood. 175 Sun. B tier. It's a very situational plant. Because on one hand, if you can get like a bunch of 3-Peters or repeaters or a Gatling P, that damage is going to be absolutely insane. But instead you could have cattails, or if you're playing a night level, you could have like mushrooms do your bidding, or you could have melon pulps instead, or stars. Yeah, screw all those. So you could have a bunch of stars. I'm arguing C tier. Because in order for Torchwood to actually do anything, it's literally almost 200 Sun for it to just sit there and not do anything. Then it costs extra Sun for it to actually do something. Not worth it. Twin Sunflowers. I believe it's 125 Sun. Where is it? 150 Sun. It doubles a sunflower, but it costs triple the price. Yeah, it reduces space, but that's it. That's it. Like I said, if I have 2 rows of sunflower, great, but to prevent myself from doing 3 rows, I could do twin sunflower. Still 150 Sun, not worth it. I don't know what this is called, but these prevent all bungee zombies from coming down. And it's a great defense. For only 100 Sun, roof levels become a lot more manageable. Because bungee zombies are the worst zombies, or at least the most difficult zombies, in the entire game. Simple as that. A tier. Melon Pulp for 200 Sun. It's just an upgrade. It still can be good, because if you have a frost pulp put down, winter melon, that's what it's called. If you have a winter melon put down in the second lane and fourth lane, you just like permanently freeze every zombie. If there's zombies in the second and fourth lane, of course. But yeah, it's still very good, but it costs so much Sun. 500 Sun, because 300 for the melon. 200 for the winter. But again, if you could just have a full row of them, it's very good. Lettuce pult is costs 100. It's worse than the corn pult. Simple as that. Pea shooter. C tier, because you need it in the first few levels, but other than that, it's really garbage. Chomper, 150 sun. Pretty long recharge time, and it takes a while for the Chomper plant to swallow the zombie. C tier. Clover, 100 sun, blows away all balloons. It gets completely outclassed in every way, shape, and form by cacti. C tier. C. Actually, no, B tier, because it can come in clutch. The cacti fail to do their thing. Clover comes in clutch. Coffee bean F tier. I rarely ever use mushrooms during the day. I don't mean it like that. You know what I mean, chat. But yeah. I mean, unless you're putting down a doom shroom, it's really nothing. Cob Cannon's a D tier. It's a very cool, very, very cool plant to use. It's basically a cherry bomb, except it reloads constantly, and you can like kind of drag your finger. So it's very cool. The only problem is that it costs 500 sun, and it requires 2 spaces for 2 kernel pults. So that's an additional 200 sun, and then 2 entire spaces to use. So it's a D tier. No one's ever going to use that. Unless you're doing something like Last Stand, which then is pretty cool. But for like the normal game, no one's going to use that. So that is the definitive Plants tier list and Plants vs. Zombies. This is just for the first game. I'll probably do the second game at some point in the future, but first I'll do Zombies. But if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing, and I'll see you on the next video.